Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Kristy Taylor. I want to welcome you to another exciting episode of Ask a Career Coach, where you submit your questions and I take about 20 to 30 minutes on a live to answer them. I'm also looking for questions in the chat, but this week we have about 4 to 5 questions that were submitted, and so I'm going to wait just a moment to allow you to drop in. But again, I'm doing this live, so if you have questions in the chat, have questions, you can just drop those in the chat. I'm happy to answer them on your behalf. We're going to try to do this at least once every other week or so, where I pop in and just answer your questions based on whatever you might be going through and experiencing. And this is not just about your resume or career brand. It's also about things that you might be experiencing in the workplace. So feel free definitely to come in. So I just wanted to tell you about a couple of upcoming events that we have with Work Solutions. On October 13th, we're going to have Discover Yourself Day. So while more people are coming in, I'll just update you on these events. From 9 o'clock to 10:30 on October 13th, we'll have Transition Like a Pro, Navigating Career Change with Confidence. And each one of these workshops, they are, for right now, these workshops are pay what you can. So the minimum donation is $10. I mean, next year, these workshops actually, after this, these workshops will be full price. So we will not be running any more discounts, but we wanted an opportunity to test them. So, and see how you like them. So we did this on last month. We did it on September 2nd. But this month, we're going to run these workshops on October 13th. And so we have 2 new workshops that we are adding to this. And then from there, we're going to launch our full list of workshops, and they will no longer be available at the discounted rate. We're going to charge full price for them because we've been running these workshops for a year. They are tested and proven, and we've been slowly adding to our catalog of things that we're going to be offering. So Transition Like a Pro, Navigating Career Change with Confidence. So many of you have talked to me about, okay, Dr. Taylor, I made the pivot. But I don't know what to really do in the process of transitioning, right? And so we'll take some self-assessments. We'll go through the process of really talking to you about how to set yourself for success if you are transitioning. So that's going to be at 9:30. From 9 o'clock to 10:30 on October 13th. Then we're going to immediately follow that from 11 o'clock to 12:30. My most popular class has been my LinkedIn Masterclass, LinkedIn Playbook Masterclass. We're going to offer that from 11 o'clock to 12:30 on October 13th. And then from 1 o'clock to 2:30, we're going to do the Pace Yourself Interview Prep Masterclass. So if you are looking to focus on improving your career brand, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to come into the class and connect and get some one-on-one coaching, get some feedback from some of your peers. And we're looking forward to that. So I'll bring this up again in the end, but I am just, again, if you're just joining us, feel free to drop questions in the chat. But I'm going to go ahead and start answering some of these questions that were submitted to us. And so my first question that was submitted was by Melissa. And again, if you want to email us, you can just email success@work.com. Jules will throw that in the chat, and we'll use your question as part of this for upcoming events that we have where I answer some of your questions live. So here we go. So Dr. Taylor, my name is Melissa, and I've been freelancing for the past 4 years. I'm ready to move into a stable full-time position, but recruiters seem confused by my freelance background. So how do I position myself so that they take me seriously for more traditional roles? And this is why, one of the reasons why I always say that it's good for you to have an LLC, because that actually would cover that up, clean that up for you a lot, right? But it's okay to have freelancer on your resume. But I like to work under the umbrella of an LLC because, one, that provides me with some continuity for job transitions. And this is one of the things I always tell clients, right? It provides you with some continuity, and it's a more polished and professional look. But Melissa, this is such a timely question that you asked me, because a lot of professionals are actually making that transition from freelance to full-time, or from full-time to freelance, especially with the way the economy is going. So it's not uncommon for people to have freelance jobs. So the key here is that you're going to have to bridge the language gap. That's why I say I really like the idea of just getting an LLC and purchasing an LLC and doing all of your freelance work under there. But, here's the thing. Hiring managers often misunderstand freelance work because it isn't framed the same way that traditional employment is, right? So your job is really reframe that, your freelance experience, to fit that results-driven, client-focused language. So when you're going after a job, look at what you've done as a freelancer and make it fit. So for example, instead of saying something like freelance graphic designer, you might say creative consultant, or and just be very clear about what you did in the role, right? Manage visual branding and marketing campaigns for 12 plus small businesses across healthcare and nonprofit sectors. Okay. You should also group freelance works into one consistent role on your resume. So if you don't have an LLC, but let's say you did do the work as a graphic designer, right? Just, you can say, freelance graphic designer. I like just putting the title, freelance graphic designer and consultant. And then you can put freelancer in parentheses or something like that. But group all of this work together so it's not popping up, spotted all over your resume. So don't list each client separately. Highlight the measurable outcomes, long-term partnerships, and leadership involved. So just like I run my company, right? I do run it under an LLC, but there was a period where I was kind of working as a freelancer, but I still put, right, my title was career coach. And then I put some of the things I did in companies that not necessarily listed the name of all of those companies, but things that I was doing from a consulting standpoint, because I did also a lot of educational consulting when I first started out 10 years ago. Now, when you do your cover letter for this, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to explain why you're ready to make the switch. So you might have a transition since, like, after several years of successfully running my own business, I'm now excited to contribute to a collaborative team or full-time environment. So one of the things I always tell you, like, if you are in the process, like right now, I'm based here in the DC area, people are losing their jobs left and right. Invest in an LLC. Put all of this freelance work under LLC, because it's kind of like you're doing consulting in many ways. And most of us who started out in small business, we started out doing some type of consulting or freelance work. So if you can put it under that banner, then a lot of times you can actually close the gap on any, on your resume. You can close if you didn't have a job for a while, you can close that gap because you're running your own LLC, you're running a business. But it's not just purchasing LLC, but you actually have to be doing some consulting and freelance work under that umbrella. So if you don't have the LLC, again, just group everything together, give yourself the title that you had. And so you want to also look at what are the contracts and different things that you're doing, because you might not put every single different role that you had, but if it's something that's going to be beneficial for the roles that you're applying for, then put it under there and still write action, impact, result. And you can just give yourself that title and put, comma freelancer or freelancer in parentheses. Okay. Let's move on to the next person. All right. So again, if you're just joining us, I just want to remind you, and I'll keep popping it up to, that we do have an upcoming event. We are getting to the last stage of where we are testing some of these workshops that we are doing. And so, right now we've been doing the workshops with a combination of free, paid, and donation-based. This is going to probably be one of the last times that we are doing donation-based workshops where you can pay this minimum of $10 to be part of our workshops and experience, because now that they are tested and true and we know what people need, we're going to charge for it, because we spent over a year developing these and testing these workshops. And these workshops and the content that you learn here helps you to level up and get to that next step in your career. I had somebody who took my career pivot course, and they emailed me last night and said, "Hey, I think your processes and techniques that you teach, Dr. Taylor, they work." Because this person wasn't able to get an interview, then suddenly they take the course, we redo their resume, work on their career brand, they got an interview. So, I'm charging you $10 or so, because I'm testing these workshops out, but the information that I give you is so crucial. I mean, I don't play around, because I try to teach you everything that I know. All right. So let's look at the second question here. So this question came in from Michael. I'm not going to say the last name. He realized recently that when he Googled himself, he said there are tons of professionals with the same name, even in my industry. And this is actually something I get from clients all the time. What happens when you Google yourself and you have someone with the same name that's even folks in your industry? How do you stand out? So Michael says, I'm blending in and getting overlooked. How can I stand out online when I have such a common name? So like I said, this is something I get asked by clients all the time. Think about it. Like, you have, even my name is a common name, Kristy Taylor. Is I didn't think it was common, but it's a lot more common than you think, right? But when you Google Dr. Kristy Taylor, because of the way that I have my LinkedIn account set up, when you Google me, usually I'm going to pop up the Dr. Kristy Taylor. I pop up immediately as career and executive coach because I've done the work to make sure I distinguish my brand and name. So, Michael, I love the fact that you asked this question because your online presence is your first impression in today's market. And yes, if you have a common name, you're going to need to do a couple of things. And I took a couple of notes for this, so I want to recommend this. One, you need to add a unique identifier. So, like for my name, for example, if you go to LinkedIn, like if you Google me, when I come up under LinkedIn, it's Dr. Kristy Taylor, career and executive coach, right? So let's just say when you look at your name across platforms, one of the things that you can do is, your name is Michael. I'm gonna use Brown, Michael Brown, PMP. Okay, so one of the things that you can do is if you got this common name, use the comma and then put the credential after, right? So it'll be Michael Brown, PMP. Or Michael Brown, and then you can do like a comma, digital health analyst. But put something that's connected to your title so that when people Google your name, and I'm telling you this because this is the exact formula that I use to make sure that I stand out in the crowd, right? So this is the exact formula to use. So when you update your LinkedIn headline with keywords that match your target role, it don't just say your title, say what you specialize in. Okay, so you got your name, comma, your credential, because you can actually do that in LinkedIn, even if you like verify. So you can actually do that. What I do is like after my last name, I put a comma and then I put, whatever my credential is or my title, career and executive coach, right? Sometimes I change it up and put my credentials in there. But LinkedIn also allows you to add a header. Like it also allows you to kind of add a header. So I want you to update your LinkedIn profile with not just the keywords that match your target role. I want you to also put something like, helping health tech companies streamline clinical data workflows or whatever it is that you do. That way, when people Google your name, it takes a couple of days to pop up in the system. But when people Google you, if you using your LinkedIn profile, what'll happen is if they Google Michael Brown, it'll pop up. It'll have your credential, your name. It's like Michael Brown, PMP. And then like you can make a joke because I always tell people, hey, like when you Google me, the first thing that's going to pop up is Dr. Kristy Taylor, career and executive coach. That's usually what pops up, right? So it'll be the same thing for you, Michael. It'll be Michael Brown, PMP. You can say, you can make a joke out of it and say, hey, there are tons of Michael Browns, but there's only one Michael Brown, PMP. And when people Google you and your name pops up, when Michael Brown pops up, then they'll know that the one that's PMP, that at least narrows it down to gets them closer to you. And then of course, if you have these, instead of typically sometimes when it comes to clients with their LinkedIn profile, I will put in just keywords because it just depends. But if you have a common name, another thing that will help you is again, kind of living out what you do and what you specialize in, helping health tech companies streamline clinical data. And then the other thing that I want to tell you is to consider creating a personal website or a digital portfolio. Here's something I'm going to give you just a clue, right? You can actually still create a Google website for free. You can create a Google site for free. And so if you're developing a portfolio, that might be the way to go to kind of get you started with that process. All right. So you want to have your name. You want to make sure that you show your name alongside your credentials alongside your name, making sure it's clear and consistent with your brand. And then you also want to have a title or header that shows that what you do and what you specialize in, that doesn't just kind of say the keywords. And then again, just take that last step. A lot of these platforms and stuff like that, you can utilize for free to create your digital portfolio or your brand. And that'll help you to stand out. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to do a couple of more questions here because I had at least 4 come in. So I'm going to go ahead and read those. The next question came in from Sandra. She said she recently earned her master's degree in public health, and she has applied to dozens of roles, but keep hearing that she is overqualified or not quite the right fit. Sandra states that she feels that she has priced herself out of entry-level roles, but can't land the higher end ones. So what should she do? All right. So again, it's not uncommon because I think about like all of the people who transitioned out of the federal government here in DC. I mean, some of the best minds of our times working in places like, the FDA or down in Georgia, the CDC, or some of these other agencies. So what do you do when you feel like, hey, and I don't think it's just a matter of, okay, in this case, the example was Sandra did finish her degree and she feel like she priced herself out of the market. She finished her master's degree. One thing that you did not give me, Sandra, was how long you've been actually working. So I'm going to assume that you've been in the workforce for 5 to 7 years or 10 years or more. It doesn't really matter. But I just think about like all the people who might be experiencing that. It has nothing even to do with the fact that you went back to school. You just might have been laid off and found yourself back here on the job market. So here's the thing. Employers don't always know what to do with advanced degrees unless you connect the dots for them. So that means that you need to position your master's degree as value added. This is what I would tell any of you who are out here on the job market. Most people are going to want to know what you can do or bring to the table, right? How can you solve a problem for them? And so while degrees are important and what you're looking for, you're positioned to say, hey, this is going to be value added. But most of the time when you're talking in that interview, if you got to the interview stage, right, that means that you met the minimum qualifications in some instances. So in that case, you really want to focus on selling yourself to that employer about how you're going to solve their problems. And the extra degree that you have is just a caveat. Really, it's the icing on the cake. So one of the things I want you to do, Sandra, is I want you to try tailoring your resume to emphasize practical experience and transferable skills and not just focus on the fact that you have this education. All right. So in your cover letter, for example, I want you to put things like, you might add a statement. Don't negate the fact that you have all of this other work experience, because I think what's happening right now, you're like, okay, I got this degree and I'm trying to transition to something big. And then you might feel like you're being overlooked for that. But I want you to focus on upselling the skills and making the degree the caveat, the icing on top, right? And instead of the other way around, because right now it's like, okay, I got my degree and I've priced myself out of the market. But I think you might be also underselling the skills that you've already had, because that should be really what's advancing you, and the degree is just the extra icing. So a graduate, when you do your letter, for example, you can kind of highlight like all of these things that you've done, and then you can add a statement in there about recently graduating, completing your master's degree in public health. And you can say something like, my graduate studies enhanced my research and policy development skills, but I'm excited to bring those into a hands-on role where I can support programs directly and grow with an organization. So again, in that case, you didn't really overlook anything that you did, right? You still highlighted all of this experience that you bring to the table, because when you talk about getting a next level role, they're going to want to know what you did in the past. It's not so much I just graduated, right? With my master's degree. What did you do in the past to help get yourself to this point? Hey, Safi, how are you? If you have a question, please feel free to throw it in the chat. I'm happy to answer it for you. I got about 10 more minutes and then we'll log off. I do want to remind you guys that we are having a free Beat the Bots workshop tomorrow. And I will put the link in the chat for you to be able to register for that as well. Okay, so we're going to drop the link in the chat, or I'll do it at the end of this. All right, so again, if you have any questions, feel free. I'm just going to finish this up. So, Sandra, the last thing I want to say to you is just, when you're applying for a role, I want you to think outside of your current level and de-emphasize, again, the overall academic tone. And we tend to do that like when we just graduate, but don't downplay the fact that you have this degree. But what I'm saying is I just want you, when you're talking about going for that next level job, particularly, which is what you should be going for, and not just aiming for, not applying for jobs that you already are qualified for, right? But I get it, in this job market, it's tough. When you're applying for roles that are outside of your current level, I want you to de-emphasize the academic tone, emphasize the skill that you already have, and then that degree itself becomes that next level document. All right. That becomes that next level document. So also, I want you to also, just one final piece of advice, tap into public health associations and alumni networks. Because again, if you find yourself getting a master's degree and then you're applying for jobs that you're overqualified for, there's something, I want you to be more focused in your job search, because really you should be leveling up to apply for jobs where you are really able to take the experience that you have and move that along to get you to the next level. But again, I understand this job market that we're in. Hey, Steve, how are you? So again, we're going to be dropping our links in the chat, and we will just share with you where you can register for our workshop for tomorrow, as well as our upcoming events that we have. So Jewel, I see you here. Can you share those in the chat, please? All right. Okay. Third question, and we have time for one more question. This question came in from Noah. Okay. Noah's a graphic designer, and he has been keep hearing about applicant tracking systems. I believe Noah came to one of our events, our Beat the Bot events. But okay, from a graphic designer standpoint, visual resumes and portfolio are how I show off my work. Are my creative materials getting filtered out before a human even sees them? So I always say when we talk about the ATS system, if you're not familiar with that, that's why you need to come to our free Beat the Bot series, because again, we are entering the last days of free. All of these free workshops that I've been giving throughout the year to support people here in the DC area who have been in transition, we're going to start charging for those. So we have this one event coming up on October 13th, where again, you can still get in, and most of our workshops still will remain affordable anyway. But we are having an all-day free event. All-day donation-based event where you can pay $10, and you can either pay $10 for an individual workshop or $27 for all three. And you will learn Transition Like a Pro. We're going to walk you through the process of transitioning your career, helping you set up your LinkedIn profile, and then we're going to assist you with some interview prep. So we have those 3 workshops that are taking place on October 13th. Most people are off that day. It's going to be a great day to be able to come in and spend some time with a coach and get some one-on-one feedback. And so we are dropping the links and sharing all of that stuff. And then we're also running our Beat the Bots workshop tomorrow, which is free of charge, of course. So, and that'll be the last time we run that, because we have worked over 6 months to develop that material. And so, we want you to be able to have accessible professional development. So if you're not familiar with an applicant tracking system is basically that mechanism where when you submit your resume, that's an applicant tracking system, because it's basically the system that is managing the process for those companies that are advertising the job. So let me see, I got a couple of questions coming in. So I'll come back to this, Noah. I hope you're on the line. So what is the better choice for digital marketer or program manager in regards to career? It just depends on what you want to go after, right? Because a program manager, it could actually just be something generic. It just depends on, you got to tell me a little bit more about what you're specializing in. Because like I've been a program manager before, you know what I mean? And I got a background in health science. So it just depends, If you are passionate about marketing, design, all of that stuff, then go after the digital marketing route. But if you're a program manager, that's usually going to be a bit more of administrative type of work. So, all right, so let's get back to Noah. So Noah, this is such a valid concern, because here's the thing, it's not uncommon. And I've said this before in Beat the Bots, right? You might have a situation where you are a graphic designer or in a creative space, and then you need to share your resume. ATS systems, they're built to scan ticks, not visualization. So this is why you need to have a portfolio if you're in a graphic space. Now, this is one of the things I do say, and I have done it myself, right? When I submit or advise clients, or even when I submit myself, I submit just a basic resume. What I will usually do is link a portfolio of work to that resume. When I get to the interview process, that's when I will have copies of the fancier stuff per se. Right. So like, for example, I usually will use a 2-page resume. That is what gets my foot in the door for an interview. Once I get there, I give them my CV, and the CV has different, it's colored, my typical blue and white standard. So I'm going to advise the same for you. I'm going to recommend one that you have 2 versions of the resume if the system allows. The first version that you're going to submit is going to be the PDF version, just the plain text version of your resume, so that it can actually upload and parse in the system. Okay. So that clean ATS friendly resume, just plain formatting, that's going to allow your application to be scanned and read. No columns, no limit any images, minimal design. And then that version should just use relevant keywords, because again, we're just trying to get you to the interview. Now, usually within a system, there's an option to upload your portfolio and then upload another copy of your resume or any web links. And then this is where I'm going to say that you can add all of that extra stuff. Include with it a short statement on your resume that links to your work. So 2 different versions. Like I said, I like to have the clean one that I upload that has the links to the portfolio, and then if it allows you to upload additional documents, then you can do that. You can always upload the colorful resume as the additional document, right? And then the second thing is print it out and take it with you. Okay. Hey, if you want to submit a question, I'm not sure who this is, but if you want to submit a question, please feel free to do it. I'm right here in the chat. I will hang on while you submit that question. So the one you said, I'm not sure if I didn't hear my question on time. You can submit. That's fine. You can just throw it right here in the chat and say that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, because I've been doing this work for about 6 months now, and well, this portion of the work, right, when people started getting laid off here in the DC area, and I've been just trying to make it accessible for everybody. But we have work. We know what work, because I've seen people get jobs with just the free content I provide. So we're gonna put this stuff behind a paywall. So you got a couple of more days, guys. Join us on October 13th. Join us tomorrow, but we want to make sure that you're taken care of. When I do these master classes and stuff, most times people will offer a free workshop. The thing about me is that I actually want you to walk away with something. So any of this content that I've done as a free workshop, it is really up to the quality level that it should be to be a paid workshop. Like, I don't just bring you in just to sell you something, right? Literally, you can come in and take notes. Now, I don't give you copies of the recordings and all of that stuff, but literally you can come in and take notes. And just on the free stuff alone that we've been providing over the last few months, people have been able to get jobs. It's been, people have also felt supported. So, okay. So I'll take one more question if you wanted to throw your question in the chat. And other than that, I'm going to finish this up and then we're going to move on. So remember that we do have a workshop tomorrow night. You can go on worksolutions.com and register for that workshop, and it's Beat the Bots. And tomorrow we're actually testing out different ATS systems. So actually this was like the perfect wrap-up question, right? So we talk about the option here of, so upload your stuff. Always have a portfolio on yourself. Upload your portfolio, link to that, and then let that be the colorful piece that you use, Noah. So, okay. All right. Any other questions, guys? If you want to submit questions for these events, because maybe you don't feel comfortable asking it loud online, you can. All right, you can send it to success@work.com, and I'm happy to answer it on the live. Well, you know what I'm gonna say. You should come to one of our Beat the Bots workshop. Come to the workshop tomorrow. Jules will drop. She just dropped the link in there, cracking the ATS code, because that might help you. And I'm also happy to answer any questions that you might have. Absolutely fine. I've had a couple of folks that pop in that are working in on visas, right? Yeah, and I know it's tough. This is a tough job market. So, and you want to be able to keep that visa active. So I completely understand. Completely understand. All right, guys. So I'm just going to remind you one more time about what's happening with us. So tomorrow we will have a free workshop, last of the free, because I've been working on this all year, making sure and testing it and making sure that it's what people need. As last of the Beat the Bots workshop is going to be tomorrow. We're going to do that at 7 o'clock, I believe. It'll run from 7 o'clock to 7:45. Typically, it's about a 45-minute workshop. It's been lasting an hour because I'll sit there and answer any questions that you have. I want to help you. I know that this job market is tough. The other thing that I wanted to say is that on October 13th, this is the last of our workshop series where we're going to be doing those pay what you can workshops. So 9:30, transition like a pro. I'm sorry, 9 o'clock to 10:30, transition like a pro. 11 o'clock to 12:30, we're going to have the LinkedIn masterclass. And then if you need interview prep and assistance from 1 o'clock to 2:30, I'll be there. Again, it's only $10. All right. It's only $10. The email is for if you have any questions. If you want to submit your questions, we're happy to answer those online during one of the I'm happy to answer those online during these when I do these events. Ask a career coach. I'll start coming on like weekly doing those, but then also you can just drop into the chat. Drop into you can drop into one of our free events that we're having tomorrow, or schedule an appointment. I give you a 10 or 15-minute appointment free of charge where you can drop in and talk to me, and let me help you figure out what you want to do or create a plan for yourself. In that 10 or 15 minutes, we can talk through some of your problems. I'll answer whatever questions that you might have. Okay. All right. So you guys have multiple ways of contacting me. You have multiple ways of connecting with me. And I just want to say, I recognize that it's a difficult job market. It's a difficult time, but I want you to keep your head up. I want you to stay focused. And, you will find your next position. It might take time, but you can make that pivot. All right. And so until next time, guys, I will see you. I would say in about 2 weeks, but I'm around. All right. Feel free to email us your questions, and we will be happy to answer those on a live or meet with you one-on-one to help you. Have a great night.